Picture this. An animal responsible for millions of deaths every year. So tiny you barely notice it. But its impact, it dwarfs even the most fearsome predators. Today, we're plunging into a list that might just flip your understanding of danger upside down. The 10 most dangerous animals in the world.
And for you, our listener, someone who wants to be in the know without, getting totally overwhelmed by information, we get it.
Yeah.
This ranking, it's based on some compelling data looking at animals purely through the lens of the threat they pose to us humans.
Right.
And our mission today isn't just to read off names. We want to really dig into why these animals made the list. What are the key things to understand?
Okay, let's dive right in. Starting with number 1. The mosquito. Now, a buzzing mosquito, I mean, it's probably more annoying than terrifying for most of us.
Right, annoying, yes.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The danger isn't the buzz or the bite itself, is it?
Exactly. Think of the mosquito as a highly efficient delivery system, like a tiny flying vehicle that can transmit a whole range of serious diseases.
Okay.
Our sources highlight some of the big ones: yellow fever, dengue fever, chikungunya, malaria, that's a parasitic one, by the way, and even tularemia, which is actually bacterial. Quite a list.
It's almost impossible to grasp the sheer scale of it. The data suggests mosquitoes transmit diseases to over 700 million people every year.
700 million.
Yeah. Leading to at least 2 million deaths. 2 million. That's just, it's mind-boggling. Really puts the impact of this tiny insect into perspective.
It truly does. It underscores how something seemingly insignificant can have such a monumental effect on global health. Okay, moving to number 2. We encounter snakes.
Ah, snakes.
Now, I think it's fair to say that snakes trigger a kind of primal fear in many people.
Absolutely. That silent, slithering movement. Yeah, it can definitely set your nerves on edge. But what's important to realize is that the danger among snakes varies enormously.
Precisely. Our info indicates over 450 snake species have venom. But, and this is key, only around 250 of those are actually capable of killing a person.
Okay, so still a lot, but not all of them. Not all, no. And if we look at where most deaths occur worldwide, one particular group stands out. The genus Echis. That's the vipers.
Echis vipers. Okay, a genus is like a family grouping, right?
Yeah, basically a broader category of closely related species. And these Echis vipers, well, their venom is particularly lethal.
So what makes it so bad? What does it do?
What's really devastating about their venom is its effect on the blood. It actively prevents blood from clotting properly.
Oh, wow.
Imagine that a wound that just won't stop bleeding. Yeah. Ultimately, the victim can succumb to blood loss. It's a harsh reality, but understanding the mechanism helps grasp the specific threat.
Shifting to number 3, we have scorpions. These definitely conjure up images of, dry, hot climates and a really painful sting.
And that image isn't entirely wrong. Our sources confirm that all known scorpion species have venom, and yes, they can sting.
Right.
That sting is usually enough to cause redness, swelling, and, well, a good deal of unpleasantness.
Ouch. So, while a scorpion sting might ruin your afternoon, the danger isn't quite on the same level as mosquitoes or even many snakes, right?
Exactly. While every scorpion packs venom, the crucial point is that only about 25 species have venom potent enough to actually be deadly to humans.
25, okay.
So while a sting is definitely something to avoid, it's far less likely to be fatal compared to, say, the top 2 on our list.
Okay, a pretty dramatic shift now to number 4. The hippopotamus.
Ah, hippos.
Yeah, they often look like these giant, almost docile water balloons just lounging in rivers.
Yeah.
But this list suggests a surprisingly aggressive side.
Indeed. Hippos are highlighted for their considerable aggression towards humans.
Yeah.
What's quite startling is that these attacks often seem unprovoked.
Really? Unprovoked?
Yeah, whether the encounter happens on land or even if you're in a boat, they might just go for it.
That's quite unexpected. You don't typically think of hippos as actively seeking out confrontation. Is there a reason given for this aggression?
Well, if you think about their lives, maybe competition for territory, resources, perhaps just feeling threatened, their behavior starts to make a bit more sense. Our sources don't dive super deep into the why, but the key takeaway is their established reputation. They're seen as one of the most dangerous large animals in Africa because of these aggressive tendencies.
Right. Okay, lumbering in at number 5 are crocodiles. Now, these definitely have a more, let's say, sinister reputation, especially the massive saltwater and Nile crocodiles.
And that reputation is certainly justified. Our information emphasizes the danger posed by the larger croc species, mainly due to their incredible speed when they strike.
That sudden burst of power.
Exactly. It often leaves very little chance for escape.
That image of a lightning-fast lunch is genuinely terrifying. And the list specifically calls out the saltwater and Nile crocodiles, you said.
Yes, those two species are identified as being responsible for hundreds, perhaps even more, human deaths each year, particularly in regions of Southeast Asia and Africa.
Hundreds, wow.
But it's also important to note the danger isn't limited to just those two. The list also mentions other pretty formidable species. The mugger crocodile, the American alligator, even the black caiman.
So it's a broader crocodilian threat.
It indicates a broader threat within that family, yes.
Now for number 6, an animal whose danger has been amplified by pop culture to almost mythical proportions. The great white shark.
Ah, Jaws.
Thanks a lot, Jaws.
Yeah, that movie. Our sources directly address the man-eater image. That story kind of burned into the popular imagination. But it's crucial to separate the drama from the actual stats.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is the factual record when it comes to great white attacks on humans?
Well, what's revealing is that the great white is actually one of only 4 shark species implicated in a significant number of unprovoked fatal attacks on humans. Only 4.
Okay.
And looking at the data since 1990, we have specific counts. 139 unprovoked attacks attributed to great whites. Of those, 29 were fatal.
29 fatalities since 1990.
Right. While any fatal encounter is tragic, of course, those numbers are, perhaps surprisingly, quite low when you compare them to some of the other animals we've discussed.
That definitely provides some valuable perspective. Okay, next up at number 7, we have the grizzly bear. Powerful symbols of the wilderness. They certainly evoke awe, and maybe a healthy dose of fear, too.
Definitely fear. Our sources highlight a key difference in behavior between grizzlies and black bears when they feel threatened.
Oh, what's that?
Unlike black bears, which usually try to climb trees to escape danger, adult grizzlies are often just too large for that. Their main defense mechanism is to stand their ground.
Confront the threat head-on.
Exactly. Confront the threat.
That sounds like a much more intense encounter. So when do these attacks usually happen?
The majority of attacks occur when a grizzly is surprised at very close range. This is particularly true if the bear is protecting food or, if it's a female with cubs.
Ah, the protective mother instinct.
Right. In those situations, the bear might perceive a direct threat and react defensively, very aggressively.
Makes sense. Moving on to number 8, the majestic African lion. Another animal just steeped in our understanding of power and predation.
Lions, yeah. While they don't generally see humans as their main food source, our information points to documented cases where lions have become man-eaters.
Right. These cases, though rare, often become pretty notorious.
Very notorious, like the infamous Tsavo man-eaters.
Yes, from history, right.
Exactly. Our sources mention them Tsavo, Kenya, back in 1898. A pair of lions reportedly killed and ate around 28 railway workers over about 9 months.
28 workers. Grim.
And then there's a more recent example, the Mfui man-eater in Zambia in 1991, responsible for 6 deaths.
Those are certainly unsettling accounts, and the list mentions an even more extreme situation in Tanganyika.
Yes. Our sources allude to a truly exceptional and frankly horrific series of events. This was stretching from the early 1930s to the late 1940s.
Wow, over a decade.
Yeah. In what was then Tanganyika, now Tanzania, one particular pride of lions was believed to have killed and consumed an astonishing number of people, possibly between 1,500 and 2,000.
1,500 to 2,000 by one pride.
Over 3 generations of that pride, apparently, before they were finally dealt with. It really underscores the potential for extreme danger in specific, though thankfully unusual, circumstances.
Unbelievable. Okay, at number 9, we have the elephant. We often think of elephants as these incredibly intelligent, maybe even gentle giants.
The gentle giants, yeah, that's the image.
But this list suggests they can also pose a significant threat.
Elephants, despite their intelligence, are immense and powerful animals. They're capable of considerable aggression and destruction, especially when they feel threatened or, encroached upon.
Okay.
Our sources give some concerning examples from India. Male elephants in particular have been known to enter villages, often at night, causing substantial damage and, tragically, the loss of human life.
The statistics mentioned from Jharkhand and Assam in India, they paint a pretty grim picture.
Indeed. Reports indicate around 300 people were killed by elephants in Jharkhand between 2000 and 2004.
300.
And another 239 deaths reported in Assam between 2001 and 2006. These figures really highlight the devastating consequences that can arise from human-wildlife conflict, especially with such massive and potentially volatile animals.
Absolutely. Finally, at number 10, we have a creature that probably doesn't immediately spring to mind when you think world's most dangerous animals. The box jellyfish.
Box jellyfish. Yeah, maybe not top of mind for most people. They're fascinating marine creatures, but certain species within this group pack incredibly potent venom.
Okay.
Our sources point out that only a few of these species have been definitively linked to human fatalities, though.
And the speed at which their venom acts is truly alarming, isn't it?
Absolutely. Research shows the venom of one particular species can cause a human to collapse and die in an incredibly short time, like as little as 2 to 5 minutes.
2 minutes. That's terrifyingly fast.
It really is. The Charybdia fleckeri species, specifically, has been implicated in at least 64 recorded deaths since record-keeping began back in 1883.
64 recorded deaths just from that one species. And the danger seems even more pronounced in certain areas.
That's correct. In parts of the Malay archipelago, like the Philippines, the estimated number of lethal cases from stings by jellyfish in the Chiropodota order, that's the group they belong to, is significantly higher.
Higher? How much higher?
Potentially ranging from 20 to 40 deaths each year.
Wow, every year. Why the difference?
Well, it's likely due to factors like remoteness, maybe limited access to quick medical treatment, and the availability of antivenom.
Right.
Our sources contrast this with the preventative measures used in places like Australia, protective nets on beaches, vinegar stations for immediate first aid, things that help mitigate the risk there.
Okay, so preventative measures make a big difference.
It's a huge difference.
So as we look back at this whole ranking, what are the key insights? What does this deep dive really tell us?
Well, maybe the most striking takeaway is that the animals dominating our fears, the big iconic predators like sharks and lions, they aren't necessarily the biggest threat to human life on a global scale.
Yeah, that mosquito at number 1 really drives that home.
Exactly. The humble mosquito, just through its role in spreading disease, emerges as the clear number 1 in terms of sheer impact. It highlights that the nature of danger can be far more complex and maybe less obvious than we might initially think.
That's a real eye-opener.
Yeah.
And the scale of the threat truly varies dramatically across this list, doesn't it?
It really does. Some animals, while definitely capable of killing someone, do so in relatively isolated incidents. Others, like the mosquito, impact hundreds of millions of lives every single year.
Right.
This also brings into sharp focus the role that human-animal interactions and conflicts play in how we perceive danger, particularly with larger animals like hippos and elephants encroaching on human areas, or vice versa.
And understanding the reasons behind their danger is so crucial, isn't it? Whether it's disease, venom, aggression, defense, each animal poses a very different kind of threat.
Precisely. By understanding these mechanisms, why they're dangerous, we gain valuable insights. Insights into how to assess risks, how to implement preventative measures, and ultimately how to strive for, safer coexistence with all the diverse animal life on our planet.
It's certainly a thought-provoking list. The animal we might just swat away without a second thought is revealed as the deadliest globally.
Yeah.
While those that inspire that deep primal fear account for comparatively fewer fatalities overall. So for you, our listener, does this ranking shift your perception of what truly constitutes a dangerous animal?
That's a good question.
And what other assumptions might we need to question when we evaluate global threats? Perhaps considering the impact of scale and maybe indirect harm like disease can lead to a much more nuanced and, informed understanding of the world around us.